I didn't ask for a receipt because I am, again, an idiot. So I had left Posh, which was the ticketing company that I co-founded, because I realized that there was nothing really else that I could provide for them, and there was not a lot of value that I could bring to the table that I hadn't already brought. And I knew that it was time to, officially make the foray into the car business. I didn't really know how, but I had started by consigning cars off of Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist that I was then putting on behalf of that seller to, onto various auction sites. One was Bring a Trailer, one was Cars and Bids, and, most importantly, collecting cars. I ended up taking the majority of my listings to them just because their customer service was so good, their wait times were the lowest, and I felt the most comfortable there because the auction specialist that was designated to me would actually pick up the phone and call me in person whenever I needed to speak to him. So that was a huge plus, gave me a lot of confidence. I ended up listing 9 cars with them my first month in the consignment business. And, obviously that warranted a call from my auction specialist saying, hey man, why don't you just work for us? Like, you'd be doing the same thing, just representing a legitimate multinational, multi-million-dollar business. And that sounded good to me. Just the problem was I lived in New York and they were based out of Los Angeles. Coincidentally, my girlfriend got a job offer after graduating Parsons in Los Angeles, being a photographer for a well-known clothing brand. So, being the loving boyfriend I am, I followed her out there like any good man would when you find a great girl. We got out there and I was helping her settle into her job, and we had rented a little Airbnb until we could find an apartment. And being the fiscally irresponsible enthusiast that I am, I rented a Cayman for the first 3 weeks of being there, a 981 it was, and it basically depleted me of all of my savings, but I was doing it to, try to save face and try to find a car guy that would maybe hire me. I ended up reapproaching collecting cars and the auction specialist that had originally said, come work for us, man. And 3 or so months had elapsed and that offer was kind of rescinded. So the job that I was banking on taking was no longer available. And I was like, oh boy, what do? I'm in this big city. I've got no money. I've just rented this car and I'm an idiot. One thing led to another. And I was like, okay, last ditch here. Like, if they don't want to hire me, through the US team, I am just going to reach out directly to the CEO, the COO, and, Chris and what have you. Just all the executives on a Hail Mary, so to speak. So I sent that over LinkedIn message, and it was a lengthier message that kind of explained, here's what you guys are doing great, here's what I love, here's why I use you guys, here's what you guys are doing terribly and what needs to be fixed, and, here's how I'll fix it. They got back to me the same day, and I remember I let out a pretty aggressive fist pump when receiving that message. The contents of that message read, hey, sounds interesting. We agree with a lot of your points, and we'll be in LA to touch base with our US team next week. Like, stick around and we'll have drinks and talk, and, maybe we can come up with a plan to get you hired because we like what you have to say. And I was, young and still am young, so it was a bit of a difficult, thing for them to go on a limb and just hire me. But the points I made, again, were valid. And so we had the drinks. We had a great time. They loved my points. And the next day, I had a job at collecting cars, and I was learning how to use Salesforce and making about 100 cold calls a day and consigning like no one had ever done before. So it, ended up going well. But what I realized was, basically on my first day was that the 4 other guys in the office with me, even though they were on the same quite low, salary, had a lot of enthusiast cars because they were irresponsible enthusiasts like me. So, one guy had 4 cars, all very nice, including a 996 and, the SL500, which I later bought, and a bunch of other things. And a lot of the guys daily drove i3s and, what have you. So everyone was very much car people, and they brought their cars to work every day. So I felt silly driving my rental Cayman, and also knew that it was costing me $1,000 a week and that was not going to be sustainable at my salary. So soon came a call to mom and dad, ashamed but also proud that I had done what they had asked of me and essentially gone to work for someone else because I had been so used to working for myself. And that was something that they had always encouraged me to do is, get a hiring history and build your resume. And, it's important to have something on your resume where you're not just doing it all on your own. You need to have someone verify your skill set by hiring you. So I was like, okay, we've done it. Mom and dad, like I did it. I have a real job, even though I had other successes in, various places. But the thing that I asked of them the day of getting that job was, hey, like I'm outclassed here. I've got my 924 Turbo, which I recently bought, but it is in no shape to ship over to California and drive every day in California traffic. And I'm not going to be the guy daily driving his red 1990 Miata to work every day, even though honestly, in hindsight, that wouldn't have been that bad of a situation. So what I asked him for was originally to buy me a Porsche 911 so I could fit in. What ended up happening was they thought that that was ridiculous, and they did offer me to co-sign a loan. So took out a loan, got approved, went car shopping. The execs were still in town, so Chris was still in town, and we were supposed to be getting drinks that night. And so, a few hours went by and it's time for drinks, and I had done my shopping and I was kind of deciding for the most part between a Tiptronic 996 Turbo and a manual 996 4S. And so actually I was leaning towards the 996 Turbo just because it made more sense in traffic as a daily driver. It's faster. I think I like the spec a little better. It was brown over tan, really low mileage, really anal seller. So I was like, this is the car. And then I asked Chris what he thought, and I had been watching him for as long as I can remember. Chris says to me, if you don't buy the 996 manual, you should not be working at collecting cars. You've got entirely the wrong idea. So that was all I needed to hear. The next day, I tell the seller, bring it on over to the office. We'll check it out. Done deal. I'll take it. Went to go get a cashier's check that morning after having been approved for the loan and that loan hitting. Did a quick walk around of the car, checked it out. It was gorgeous, freshly detailed, not a rip in a seat, not even a crinkle in the leather, everything checked out. The only thing left to do was take it for a test drive. So me being a decent stick shift driver, but not anywhere near the comfort level that I required to be able to hill start any stick car that I would be in, in the seat in. The seller decided to take me on a route that was quite hilly and full of traffic lights. So we had gone out of the parking lot of the office building, taken a right, and obviously that right is a massive hill. And so I'm in the right lane, getting ready to turn right. I'm at the top of the hill, and there's like a white, '04 Civic behind me. And so trying to hill start the car, I messed it up, rolled back into the '04 Civic, and luckily only really damaged his car because this 996 was spec'd with bumperettes, and the bumperettes took the brunt of the damage. And so I was a happy camper because I hadn't damaged this 996 that I was probably going to buy. I had really just done a little, scraping on this poor gentleman's '04 Civic. So we settled up and that was all good. And, he already had a, plastic bumper that was aftermarket. So there was no real damage there. But I felt after making that blunder that I had to purchase that car, whether or not I wanted to buy it. And I did want to buy it, so I did anyway. And so the first thing I did after giving him the cashier's check and actually physically purchasing the car was obviously drive it to the top of our parking structure for our office and get all the guys that were working there to come down and check it out. Because I need a little ego stroke. I just, bought a 911 by myself at 21 years old at the time, and I was pretty excited about it. That excitement dwindled and subsided very quickly because I realized that I had made the classic rookie mistake of not doing all the research required when buying a 20-year-old exotic car. I knew what an IMS bearing was. I knew that it was a major failure item, and I knew that if not replaced, it would grenade your engine, and a new engine is $30,000. So, of course, when purchasing the car, I asked the kid, has the IMS been replaced? And he said, yes, the previous owner replaced it. I didn't ask for a receipt because I am, again, an idiot. And so I just bought the car and took him at face value. I took his word for it. All of my associates come downstairs, they check out the car. A lot of the reactions were, oh my God, this is so nice. What a cool car. Like, great buy. Glad you bought this stick. I was getting the praise. My ego was being stroked. The crushing paradigm shift and the crushing blow came when we opened up the deck lid and opened up the engine bay, and someone takes a look, on the inside of that little deck lid that flips up on Porsches and says, where's the sticker? And I said, what sticker? What are you talking about? This sticker. There's a Mobile One sticker here, and there's, some informative stickers here put on by the manufacturer, but what sticker am I even looking for? And they were like, dude, LN Engineering makes the IMS solution. That is pretty much the only company who does it. And if it wasn't LN, there would still be a sticker. But every time an IMS is replaced, the service provider will put the sticker on the top of the deck lid to let you know, the future buyer know that service has been done. You can't buy fake stickers. You can't do any of that. If it's there, it's been done. If it's not there, it hasn't been done. That's just what you have to assume. Of course, there is no sticker there. I paid for that car what it was worth with the IMS replaced, and it hadn't been replaced. That car has cost me $20,000 in service, and I bought it for $40,000. So that's how Chris Harris's Porsche buying advice nearly bankrupted me.
No one should do a private party car deal without Caramel. During a car transaction, you've got a car, a title, and some money that's going to be changing hands, and I always tell everybody that neither side gets to have all three. But Caramel solves all of that because they verify the identities of both parties, they safely and securely connect to each side's bank account to manage the transfer of money, and they process your title and do all the DMV paperwork no matter what state the buyer or the seller are in. And for a limited time, Caramel is free to both buyers and sellers. They do allow you to add transportation and warranty products and things like that as you close your deal. So check them out now at drivecaramel.com or at the link in the description below.